Finding Common Battlegrounds is an attempt by two brothers, one conservative, the other progressive, to have civil conversations about politics with a little help from their friends.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. This is the podcast that is dedicated to civil dialogue and finding common ground rather than focusing on what we disagree about. So none of that just speaking over each other and ad hominem attacks, although occasionally we do throw those in. We're trying, this is a civilized podcast where we try to find out what we actually we work on building off of what we actually believe, we both sides believe in, rather than focusing on what we differ on. And I'm always surprised at how much we actually agree upon. So
maybe we should change our intro to we totally fight and we hate each other and we talk over each other. Maybe we'd get more subscribers.
So Debbie did say that was it our last one that was like a love fest? We just agreed on everything. She's like, yeah, I wasn't actually like, it wasn't as interesting. I was like, why? Because we didn't fight and we agreed on everything. She's like, yeah, I think that's why. And I was like, But that's the point of the podcast. We're supposed to find common ground.
People would rather see us destroy each other.
If it bleeds, it leads. That's the problem, right?
It is the problem. That's precisely the problem. It's bifurcating us. It's polarizing our society. Come on. This is what we're trying to overcome. All right.
So tonight's format is going to be we're going to do another rapid fire. That's where I have prepared 3 questions that I'm going to throw at our debaters, and they're going to see, and we're just going to talk about what their opinion on. So they have not seen these questions and they have not studied beforehand. But we're going to go ahead and talk about our sponsor, Lux Bidets. And so if you're not a bidet person, you got to try it. Try it once. Once you've bideted, you'll never go back. Is
Truth.
Is that a saying?
You just made it a saying, Tom.
Yeah. Okay, good. So Ryan and Josh Cragen, they are brothers, but they grew up together, but they're turned out polar opposites. Isn't that weird? And Ryan's representing the left side, and Josh is representing the correct side. Right. Even though they're both wearing the wrong colors, the opposite colors of each other. They do this a lot for some reason. It's to get you in the common ground kind of mindset,
yes.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I wear red, then I think more Republican, and if Josh wears blue, he thinks more like a Democrat. And...
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, I was trying.
When I wear blue, it makes me hate myself.
Red, I think I look good in red. So.
All right. So I'm just going to jump in and we'll just start here. Okay. So my first question that we're going to kick this thing off with is, should we still be wearing masks? And I brought this one up because President Biden just got COVID. And I did see an article. So it was actually, I think it was on some conservative site, Fox or something like that. And they were saying that that Biden came out and was like talking to the press saying, I feel good. I'm feeling I'm feeling better, this and that. And he didn't have a mask on. And no one cared. Well, no one cared. Right. And the media didn't care. But Trump basically did the same thing when he got COVID a year and a half ago, and that was a really big deal. And people were saying that was disgusting, that he was out in front of people because he just had COVID. And you're like, so is this a different time? Not a big deal. We've moved on. Is wearing a mask, and masks are there's only in my opinion, like I see people wearing masks, it's usually a very liberal person, is usually like ideologically liberal, and they're doing it more out of ideology than, well, I mean, I'm surmising that it's more out of ideology than it is for health. Maybe I don't know, but that's what it seems like. So I want to hear what your guys' opinions. Who wants to jump in?
I'll jump in. I'll jump in first. Yes, we should definitely still be wearing masks if we're sick, just like they do in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the answer. If you're not sick, no, you don't need to wear a mask, right? There's just no reason to wear a mask. One, the evidence suggests, and this is scientific empirical evidence that unless you have an N95 that you are wearing perfectly, they are no more effective than not wearing a mask at all at preventing you from getting sick. The only rationale for wearing a mask is to prevent other people from getting what you have. So I don't care if you've got COVID or a cough or the flu or anything that could be transmitted by your spittle coming out of your nose or your mouth. Wear a mask to protect other people. That's the time you should wear a mask. And the one thing that I would love to see change as a result of the pandemic is that we become more like Japan and some other kind of Asian countries where that's what they do. They actually care about transmitting diseases to other people. So they put masks on when they're sick, not because they're trying to prevent themselves from getting sick.
I was going to say something very similar, actually.
What? You have to disagree with me just on ideological grounds, Josh.
I'll take it. I'll take it a step farther and throw some cheap shots. But I was going to bring up that Japanese thing. The only time you should wear a mask is if you're sick. That's being polite to other people, considerate of other people. And the other thing to add to what Ryan said that I hope changes more than the mask thing, people freaking need to wash their hands, especially after they use the bathroom. It's like 1 in 3 people don't or something, or maybe it was closer to 50%. Most people,
I don't. It's because I can do the whole thing without using my hands. Just kidding.
How do you unzip without using your hands, Tom?
He's got talent, man.
Real party trick.
Okay, let me take it a step farther, though.
I want to throw this out, though. So the argument for masks was that it was preventing you giving it to other people, right? That was the whole argument.
That was part of it during the pandemic, but it was also you not getting it. That's a lot of people thought that it was going to prevent you from getting it, and the evidence really doesn't support that.
Okay, I just saw an article this week that there's this Dr. Birx lady. She is Fauci's right-hand man or whatever. She was helping Fauci. Yeah. She just admitted in a tell-all book that they made up all of the guidelines. They just spun them out of whole cloth and lied. You know, the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Sorry. Straight up lie. They had nothing backing that up. The social distancing, they just pulled that out of thin air. The masks sounded like a good idea. They had nothing to back any of that up. She just admitted all that. So it was all a freaking lie. So, I mean,
it's not a lie, but it's like, they're basically like, okay, COVID takes, on average, it's about this long. So if we, it's 10 days or something like that. So if you wait 2 weeks to flatten the curve, that should be enough, right? So they don't have any time.
They had nothing to back up any of their guidelines.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. They're just throwing it out there, but like, there wasn't enough time, right? It was just like, they're just
throwing
it out. I wouldn't say they were lying.
She admitted we lied to the President Trump, when we said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, because as soon as we got him to buy that and do that, we were trying to figure out how to get him to expand it even further. Because what they're trying to do is get people to stay home, and Fauci's admitted he lied. So in her book, she straight up said they had nothing to back it up. So as Ryan said, nobody was wearing masks correctly, because once further down the road, once people actually started to study it, nobody was wearing the N95 masks. Right. Even the people that weren't cleaning them or were reusing them and stuff, so they lost their efficacy. Most people were wearing like masks that didn't do any good anyway, and they weren't cleaning them. They weren't swapping them out. So the whole thing was just stupid. Why were we wearing masks? Because again, we've discussed this as nauseum. We should have done Sweden's approach and just got herd immunity quickly. So what was the freaking point? Yeah,
but I think the takeaway that we can still give, right? And I don't know if I told you guys this. I put this into my syllabi for my classes. I did it during the pandemic, but I'm going to keep it, which is, if you're sick and you still insist on coming to class, wear a mask and I will give you a treat. That I want to change that culturally, because as Josh said, this is showing respect for other people in society. If you're sick, try not to give it to me. And I mean, I do this all the time with my students, right? When I show them, because I use masks as an indication of culture, and I show a picture of a guy in Japan when I was there wearing a mask. And I was like, what does that mean? Right? And everybody's like, oh, he's trying not to get sick. And I'm like, nope, That's not what it means, right? But I explained to them, or asked them, how many of you have come to class sick? Every single one of them raised their hands, right? They all raised their hands. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you come to class sick?
But here's the problem, right? If you wear a mask and come to the class, everyone's going to be like, ooh, you know what I mean?
But what did they do in Japan? Come on, Tom. You lived in Japan for 2 years.
Yeah,
how did people respond?
It's a cultural thing there, right? It's totally acceptable.
Right.
What I'm saying is people are going to be like, well, why didn't you stay home if you're sick? But if they hadn't worn the mask, then no one would have said anything.
Right.
And that's what we used to do. That's what we used to do, right? We'd just come and we'd be sick and no one would say anything. But now you're going to come and be judged. So I don't know. I mean, it's not unusual to see someone with a mask on. So maybe we have changed. Although my observation has been, and I want to know if you've seen this in Florida, but like, it seems like it's very liberal people that are only wearing masks. Like I went to the library and all the staff were wearing them. And the library's typically been a very liberal institution. And so it was like, so I didn't know if that was, if that's what you've seen as well, Ryan, up in Florida.
I think that's mostly it. There are probably still some people who are vulnerable, who are not necessarily left-leaning, who are still wearing masks, and I think that's probably reasonable, right? But I think you're probably right. I recently traveled to Canada, where they still have mask mandates in airports and on planes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At least they did a month ago or whatever. But I did on that trip, and I think it was actually in Newark where I had a layover. I saw somebody triple masked. The first time I've seen a triple mask. I've seen double masking before.
Two masks and a scuba mask.
They had 3 masks on.
Full
I was like,
deep 6 outfit.
How can you breathe? I had no idea.
There's a meme. It's a short video clip of a person who is scuba diving with a mask on. I kid you not. And they're coming out of the water and they pull their scuba mask and they have a mask on. And it's like,
that's
what
funny.
the heck? It's a little crazy.
Wow.
Whatever. Okay. They're immunocompromised. All right. Okay. Well, sounds like mostly agree there. All right. I have a few different ones I can pick through. Let's go with the more exciting one here. All right. If DeSantis runs in 2024, will he win? And I say, will he win? I'm just kind of using that vague. Will he win the
primary or the general election?
Republican nomination, or where I just want to throw it out there.
So he's out fundraising Trump now by a pretty decent margin, which is very hopeful. Obviously, we don't know who the Democratic candidate is going to be in the general election. Biden has been saying he's going to run, but Biden can't even ride a bike without falling down. And
do you think he'll run, Ryan?
But I don't think he'll run.
But who do you think will run? Because Kamala won't beat DeSantis. Biden won't beat DeSantis. I don't see anybody. He won't beat DeSantis. He's worthless.
I think he could.
I think he could.
He's out of touch.
Did you see his latest interview? So the House just voted on legalizing same-sex marriage, right? So, I mean, it's legalized through the courts, but they voted on it. And it came up in the Sunday talk shows. And his little spiel when he was interviewed, when somebody brought this up, was like, it was really good. And it
presidential.
It was, right? So basically, here's what he said. It's like, I'm amazed that some of those people who I literally was just in meetings with would have a problem with the support that my husband brings to our family. We have twins, and my husband takes care of them most days. On Sundays, I try to give him a break. Even though I was coming to do this, I took the time this morning to basically put our kids in their high chairs and cut up the bananas and get their cereal ready. He's basically just describing it as like, this is family life, right? Like, we're just a family. Why do you want to destroy this? And I think the tide has, the data support this. The tide has turned on this issue, right? The vast majority of Americans are perfectly fine with same-sex couples being married. I think that kind of, and just the way that he responded, he didn't make it an attack. He wasn't attacking anybody. He was just saying, why are you attacking my family? It's just a family. Like, just let me be a family. And it was pretty compelling. Like, it's a good little clip to watch. It's less than a minute long. Really nice little clip.
Buttigieg is your man for 2024.
If he runs, I don't know if he'll run. I mean, who knows who's going to run?
If it gets blown wide open and everyone's running, I'm sure he would put his head in the ring.
I think so.
But that might be tricky for the Democrats. Right, because if Biden doesn't go willingly, then it might be kind of weird.
As if DeSantis is not an attention whore. Come on.
There
is no bigger attention whore than DeSantis.
Trump.
Okay, you're right. I will concede that.
Good. So the real problem for the Democrats is Kamala, because they know she's completely unlikable. But you have the first, we already talked about this, I think.
This president's, right?
You have the first black woman as vice president, and then you're just going to be like, we don't want to do that.
It's not going to look good. They're like, boink, and they elbow her out of the way, throw somebody else in.
There goes their whole...
Throw a white male Buttigieg in there.
Exactly. There goes their intersectional platform that they run on. They're just putting the lie to it, which... Okay, the Democrats have backed themselves into the corner. I'm quite excited. But I think the real referendum is going to be how good or bad Biden does after the whole 4-year term. Because right now, in the upcoming election this November, Democrats are going to get killed because Biden's
getting complicated. Complicated. It is. The latest polling data suggests that what the Supreme Court just did with abortion is balancing things out.
No, it's not even close. Biden's numbers are down to like 33%.
Yeah, right. But this is offsetting the fact that Biden is not popular.
It won't.
I still think Democrats are going to lose seats. I think that's true.
They're going to get killed.
But I don't think they're going to get clobbered nearly as much because people are realizing, if you put Republicans in power, this is what their agenda is.
To return power to the people. I know. It's terrible.
I agree. The Supreme Court thing certainly swung the pendulum. But traditionally in the midterms, the opposing party is always going to beat up the incumbent. So, it's just how much, right? I agree with you. Yeah. It's not going to be as big a shellacking as it was.
I think that's true. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that will have blown over because of our 24-hour news cycle by November, whereas the economy and inflation and Biden just sucking and being dementia-ridden. It's not going anywhere.
So you think he would win then, Josh DeSantis? If
it's against Biden, absolutely.
Well, yeah. Against whoever.
I think so.
Against Buttigieg.
Because I think DeSantis is actually pretty likable. He's presidential. He's got all of the pluses of Trump without the psychotic negatives, I think.
With the 3 wives and all the weird stuff and grabbing women. Well, I did read about DeSantis. I guess his wife had cancer and
she had breast cancer.
Yeah, and I guess he went. I heard that he went to every single appointment that she had.
He was right there for. Yeah, it was pretty noble what he did.
Hats off. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, what was the guy? Because I think it's the Democrat. He was running against Hillary Clinton, and his wife had cancer, and he was having an affair, and then he divorced her. While she was going through chemo.
Who was that?
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
You know, Ryan?
Oh, what's his name?
It was Clinton and I think it was Obama Clinton. So I think it was 2008.
Wouldn't have been Kerry.
No, it's not. It wasn't Kerry. That was before. It was before. It was the.
What is it? I see. I can see his face.
I can see his face. Kind of good looking guy.
Yeah.
And but anyways, his wife had cancer, and he was like,
"What was his name?"
Peace out.
Let me see.
Yeah, that's a bad look. I guess we didn't. Do you think DeSantis will beat Trump? I don't, because Trump still hasn't declared if he's running. He's been fundraising like mad, but DeSantis is out raising him.
I think. Honestly,
you mean Newt Gingrich? Are you talking about Newt Gingrich?
No,
because he did
he's
that.
Democrat.
Oh.
Did he? Come on,
John Edwards.
Yes,
Is it John Edwards. Yeah,
that's who I was thinking of.
Yes, John Edwards.
He was the yeehaw guy, right?
No, that was
that was the guy from New Hampshire or Connecticut or whatever, Vermont or whatever.
John Edwards, exactly.
Yeah, John Edwards was different, but Newt Gingrich did in fact divorce his cancer-stricken wife.
Great!
Wow, what a sterling guy.
It's almost as if all Congress people are scumbags.
Yeah, it's almost
so,
like libertarians are onto something.
What was I going to say? Okay, I don't know.
These are the people that you want to have all the power, Ryan. Don't shake your head at me.
Who, Newt Gingrich and Donald Trump? Nope.
Or the Democrats who are way worse. All of the Democrats on the Ghislaine Maxwell list that we can't see for some reason. They're all Democrats.
All right. Anyone want to say anything else about DeSantis? No?
Well, I'm curious on Ryan's take. Do you think DeSantis would beat Trump in the Republican primary if they both go?
I don't think Trump's going to run.
Why not?
Oh, yeah. That's just what I was going to say. I think January 6 hearings, I think that I would say the one thing that they accomplished is they did hurt Trump's credibility.
Yeah.
And I did read an article that basically said that it only helped DeSantis is what it did.
It's probably true. I think it has done a little bit to marginalize Trump.
No.
We just had an article in our local paper talking about how DeSantis headlined a Republican meeting on one side of the state just this last week here in Florida, and Trump headlined a different Republican meeting at another side of the state, right? So it's pretty clear, like they're opposing, not that they have radically different visions, right? But they're clearly opposing candidates, and they know that they're like the biggest competition for each other. I get that Trump is still wildly popular among some groups, but I think some people, particularly moderates who have been paying attention to the January 6th hearings, are like, wow, maybe not for Trump. So I think if it came down to a primary between those two, if DeSantis is willing to put his hat in the ring, I don't think Trump's going to run. I think he just likes to bloviate because it's getting him money, because he's a fraudster and this is what he does, right? So he's raising money. He wants to spend it on himself. That's what he cares about. But if he does run, I think DeSantis actually has a pretty good chance of beating him in the primary.
Yeah, I don't think the January 6th thing has as big of an effect as you think or hope it did. I think everybody made up their mind immediately when it happened, even though the Democrats have been dragging this out forever because it's their only hope, really. I don't think it's changed anybody's minds. I really don't. I think if you were okay with it the day it happened, I don't think it changed.
Should Trump be charged with a crime?
I don't think so.
No. I mean, unless they prove that he was organizing it, which it doesn't appear that that's the case. And we could actually talk about that lady that testified that he attacked his Secret Service agents. Did you hear about that?
We grabbed the wheel.
Yeah.
So basically,
the dumbest thing
he wanted to return back to the Capitol, and he was so adamant about it that he tried to grab the wheel of the Secret Service.
He's in the Beast, right? This is what the lady said. He's in the Beast, and he says, "I want to go back there." And they said, "No, it's not safe. We're going to the White House." And he said, "No, I'm the president. Take me there." And he gets all mad. Then the lady said that he tried to strangle his main Secret Service guy. And then
I don't recall that. I heard him.
Yeah, that's what
he
she
lunged
said.
at him. He lunged at him, but
and tried to strangle him.
I heard
that's
he lunged at the steering wheel.
And then
I heard that too. Yeah,
he tried to grab the steering wheel. Okay, let's just picture this for a minute. Picture this in your mind. Okay, you have how old's Trump at the time? 75 years old.
Something. Yeah.
Okay, obviously totally out of shape. Big old butt, and you're going to tell me that he attacked a professional badass that's charged with protecting him, and he's in the back of the limo, right? The back of the Beast. So he attacks the professional badass, who, by all accounts, they all think the Secret Service has always said that he's been very respectful of them, unlike Hillary Clinton. So he attacked that guy, tried to strangle him with his tiny, tiny little hands, right? Then gets to the front of the limo, which is what, 20 feet away?
He was sitting in the back seat, so it wasn't like it was far away. You could see it through the window. Have you not seen the video? There's a video of it.
Trump jumps through the security window and tries to fight another professional badass with his tiny little hands and wrests the steering wheel away from him while he's halfway through the partition. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
There's a video, Ryan?
There is a video of it.
Of him doing this?
You can see him lunge forward from his seat.
Yeah, right.
Like now, whether it's clear that he tried to grab the steering wheel or not, you can clearly see him lunge forward.
Do you think he has a death wish that he's trying to actually wrest?
The Secret Service are not going to shoot the president.
No, just to crash the car.
He's not. They're not going to crash the car. They weren't even moving. They were barely moving at this point.
So you find it feasible, even though all of the Secret Service agents in question denied that it ever happened, and this lady said that she got it from somebody else.
She said she got it from a Secret Service agent, so she admitted she got it secondhand. So several denied it, and one said, and one confirmed it. So it's a mixed story, but I don't think that's the big issue. And on that
Trump
particular
with
issue,
his tiny little hands strangling.
Come on,
Secret
Josh,
Service
let it go.
Guys.
That's fine. On the January 6th thing, I don't know that there's a smoking gun, but on him engaged in conspiracy to try to overthrow an election, we have him on the phone trying to berate the Secretary of State of Georgia to find 11,000 votes. I mean, I don't know if you can find more damning evidence of somebody trying to orchestrate a coup and engage in a conspiracy than him literally saying that's what he did. I mean, he was on the phone. It's recorded, right? Yeah. That to me is
damning evidence possible
of a conspiracy.
Wow.
When he admits it. I think he should be tried for that.
You promised that you would quit harping on January 6th, and you're just still so desperately clinging to
I didn't bring it up today. Who brought it up? Did Tom bring this up?
No, you said should Trump be charged with the crime?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought somebody else brought it up.
No,
yes, because you said you thought January 6th was actually weakening his chances.
I did.
Tom brought it up. I didn't bring it up. Tom brought it up.
That's not bringing it up. Then you go, he needs to be charged. We need to lock him up.
I did not say that. I said, should he be charged?
So I'm going to move on to the next question.
Thank you.
I think I try to decide which one here. But okay, let's talk about China. Is China going to overtake the U.S. as the largest economy?
Oh, largest economy.
Yeah. What do you think? I've got some thoughts on this, but I want to see what you two think.
I'm not super knowledgeable on this. I don't think so. A couple articles I've read recently said that they're in that they have some real issues coming their way. I think the biggest one is their
zero COVID policy.
Well, that's just scary. I think the birth control thing where they can only have one child, they're going to very soon have an aging population here, and they're not going to have enough kids to bring into the economy. That's going to be catastrophic. Every country that has a shrinking population, that's always a huge problem. And then history just tells us more in a general sense, when you have these totalitarian regimes that have no problem locking people into their apartments and welding the doors shut and letting them die and taking away all their human rights, these regimes generally don't last that long. They get toppled with regularity. Yeah. So just in a general sense, I'm not too worried about them. But
right.
I don't know if you want more to go in more specificity of what we're talking about, but I'm not particularly worried.
Yeah. All right. Ryan?
Economic projections suggest that China's economy as measured as GDP, which I don't love that measure, right? Gross domestic product. And there are all sorts of convoluted ways to get at that. Do you calculate it based on purchasing power parity, or do you calculate it on US dollars? So if you get into all the weeds there, the projections based on their growth versus ours suggest that they will surpass us as far as their GDP. I don't know exactly when, but it's, at some point in the future. Is that the only metric that matters, though? Right? So if it's just GDP, China theoretically could catch up to us. Where I think this gets convoluted is partly because of the pandemic. We're bringing some of our manufacturing back to the US because we realized how problematic it was to be so dependent on other countries.
Yes.
And that includes things like microprocessors, right? So if we start bringing microprocessing back to the US, if we start bringing car manufacturing and some of these other things that we've basically, sent out to the less developed countries, that could change the equation a little bit. But where that gets even, just to add another layer of complication, making stuff in the US is going to cost more than it does in China. So will we still consume as much? Will this change the nature of our economy that we become, right now we're just a consumption-based economy. We consume. Our garages are filled with crap. That's what we do, right? We're just consumers. If it costs more to consume, will we consume less? And what would that do to our economy? Japan went through this, right? So Japan is an economy where they are not as heavily into consumption, and their economy doesn't grow nearly as fast as either China or the US. It's complicated.
All right. So did I get a yes or a no from either of you? Right, Josh, you said no.
I'm not worried about them. I already said what I think.
Ryan, sounds like you're saying no too.
Well, okay. So just as far as GDP, I think yes, their economy will be worth more than ours at some point in the future. The bigger question is whether they're going to pull a Russia and start trying to take over their neighbors.
Right.
If they do that, right, like right now, I think they're watching the Ukraine situation very, very closely to see, is the world community going to stick to this and continue to help Ukraine fight Russia? Because if they tried to do this with Taiwan, right now, if they were smart, they would do Taiwan right now, right?
They would go add to the chaos.
Yes, because we're putting all of these resources right now into Ukraine, right? Mm-hmm. Do we really have the financial wherewithal to be like, okay, now we've got to fight a second war by proxy in Taiwan? Right. So I know that they're looking to see how we respond and whether we actually stick to it for the long term. And if we do, if all of these other countries continue to fight by proxy in Ukraine against Russia, the head of MI6 or somebody high up in MI6 just last week said that this is wearing Russia down, and that if we can stick to it, we're going to start to see some reversals. Russia's been making progress, right? They've been taking over stuff, but they said Russia's wearing out. They're running out of resources on some of these things.
They're running out of tanks.
Yep. And the Ukraine is going to start to counterattack, and they're going to start taking some territory back, which would be awesome. I love that. I hope that's what happens. But, what lesson is China going to take away from this? So I think China's been super smart, right? Their Belt and Road Initiative, they've gone around giving loans to kind of counter the power of the World Bank. They're really trying to integrate themselves into the world economy in ways that we have not been paying attention to. And we've been distracted fighting wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that have just bled our economies. It's been
elections.
Terrible. Yeah, and elections, which Russia did a great job meddling in those, right? And China does the same. I'm not trying to bring that up, Josh. This is not that point. Russia, Josh, come on. Russia meddles in elections to destabilize everybody. They don't just do it in the U.S. And I'm not even talking about a specific election.
But they only
do this in every election. No, I said they do it everywhere. Goodness, you're the one who can't not bring up Trump. Gee.
It's such a silly liberal talking point.
I think everyone meddles in everyone's elections to an
extent. That's the idea. Russia does this very intentionally all around the world.
Yeah, I agree. On paper, basically, China's supposed to overtake us within a decade. Well, not actually, I think less than a decade. But they've got a lot of issues. Yeah, this debt thing that's going on, holy cow, that looks like a nightmare. But someone was saying, I don't know if you've read any of that, it's just crazy. It is crazy, that bubble that they have. If you just watch videos on like these empty cities they've been building, it is crazy. Giant cities in the middle of nowhere that nobody lives in. Empty. And it's basically real estate is their bubble. And it's more like investment real estate. Like I'm going to buy this house because it's a good investment, not because I'm going to live there. And then but someone else is going to buy. It's okay because it appreciates, therefore it goes up in value, and I'll sell this to the next person. Well, it's sort of like, whoever's the last fool kind of thing. But then they've had some kind of debt issues, and it's sort of everything's sort of reversing really fast. It's kind of collapsing on itself. So yeah, but someone said they might nationalize. China could just nationalize. They could just swallow it, and it would hurt them, but they probably won't be an emergency crisis. But anyway,
it's distressing how much real estate they're buying here. They have all sorts of holdings here in the U.S., which
I've been reading about that. That's interesting. That we're up to like 11% of all real estate purchases are from foreign entities. Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
There's some theories on that. But the whole thing that you brought up, Josh, the whole the population implosion is, I've read a lot, and I guess that's going to, I mean, basically they're just kind of like going like this, their population, and it's going to really hurt them within this decade. It's going to really hurt them. So I do think that they will go for Taiwan, just maybe as a power play of like, we only have so much time, so we got to try and do what we want to do. I think it will. I think there's an inevitable conflict with the U.S. and China, but I don't know if China will prevail as the dominant superpower through that conflict. One
thing we have going for us, we have lots of Latinos and stuff moving here, and they have lots of kids, so we still have growing population. I don't know the numbers. I don't know if Ryan does off the top of his head, but
and there's Mormons.
And
there's Elon Musk. He's up to like
Elon's doing good.
11. Yeah,
he's doing his part. So growing population.
There's 2 states in the United States that are above the 2.3 or 2.1 or
2.1 is replacement level fertility.
There are 2 states that are above it, guys. I've brought this up before. I'll give you, what's the first one?
I'm assuming Utah,
but I don't know if you'll guess the second one. It's kind of obscure.
It's one of the Dakotas. It's one of the Dakotas.
Yes. Really?
Yes. It's North Dakota.
Yeah. It's immigrants.
That's good, Ryan. I'm impressed.
My buddy Rick Phillips wrote about it.
There's a lot of immigrants that moved to North Dakota.
First generation immigrants have more kids than native populations.
Why are they going?
They're moving there for
oil rig jobs or something.
Yeah, oil jobs, agriculture. Other people are leaving.
Real estate.
Yeah. So the Utah is not number 1 anymore in terms of fertility rates. North Dakota is winning. Yeah. Fertility rates in Utah have actually been going down. They're getting closer to the rest of the population. Yeah, they're getting closer to the rest of the population. So up until the 1970s or 80s, Utah was on average 1 kid higher. It was higher than that before, but in the 70s and 80s, it was about 1 kid higher on average in Utah. And since then, it's gradually been kind of falling to come closer to in line with the rest of the U.S. population. Still not there, but yeah, it's getting closer.
All right. Well, it sounds like nobody's worried about China then.
I think we're all worried. We're just not super worried about China.
If we go to war with them, that's going to be nasty because they're way more competent than the frickin' Russians.
Do we know that? I mean, Japan clobbered them in World War II.
Oh, they had such a technological advantage at the time.
They did.
Japan?
Yeah. Japan clobbered China. I mean, they walked in and just absolutely clobbered China.
China was kind of a mess then.
They were, right? Now that's changed. But have we really seen their military in action?
That's a good question because we really haven't. Maybe they do suck. No. I don't know. That's a really good question. Now I'm curious.
Did you ever read about like the Italians in World War II? Like just
complete
buffoons.
They lost to the Ethiopians who were armed with spears and were starving.
Could not do
the Italians had guns and tanks and they lost to Ethiopia.
Yeah. There's like Hitler's like, okay, Mussolini, all right, you got Africa, North Africa. He's like, all right, he's got so many troops and he just can't take anything. Just a bunch of idiots. And you're just like, what? Just totally outnumbering the English.
He has a spear.
Yeah, just like getting his hand. And he was finally, Rommel goes down there and it's like, all right. And he's like, they actually start winning a few, but it was just
because they had German panzer divisions with them.
Yes, with a bunch of exactly.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought because some cultures are just not warlike cultures, and some cultures that used to be, like Norway once dominated the whole Baltic region, right? Now they don't care.
Complicated. I was just there. The Hanseatic League was actually really fascinating, but that was all commercial. They were, well, I guess if you're counting the Vikings, right, as Vikings.
No. 1600s.
That was the Hanseatic League. So they were not
Charles the 12th. They had They had one of the smallest armies, but they had the most crack army. Nobody wanted to mess with.
Oh, that may be true, but World War II, they got their asses handed to them.
In World War II.
Asses handed
before
to them.
that, but once Charles the 12th died, they completely fell off the map as a world power. But before that, there was Louis the Sun King. He had the French army, which was just monstrous. And then you had Norway, and nobody wanted to mess with either of them. France had everything below, all the mainland, and Norway had everything above it because nobody wanted to mess with them until he marched on Russia. So, and now, militarily, nobody bats an eye at Norway. They have a few ships.
Jens Stoltenberg is the head of NATO. He's Norwegian.
Woo, NATO! Thank you for proving my point.
I'm just saying, they still have, the head of NATO.
All right. Do we want to do a bonus question since we've got time?
Yeah, let's do a bonus question.
Okay, bonus question. All right, this was an interesting one. All right. Will work from home, the whole movement of the work from home movement, survive the recession? So I think there's kind of two major forces that are coming at play here. Work from home, and this has sort of been, obviously emerged out of COVID, but it's been, everyone's like, we love it and we're going to keep it. And then bosses have been like, no, you got to come back. And then, and with the recession and there, with layoffs coming and layoffs happening and coming, that's sort of, the pendulum is swinging, right, toward, the employer, right, giving them more power. So I'm like, how's this gonna play out? What do you think?
Interesting question. I hadn't thought about that. My initial thought goes to, you actually have less overhead as an employer.
Yep.
If you don't have to have office space and computers and stuff for your employee to come into. So as long as your employees are still being productive and making you money, why would you not want them working from home? So
I think that's kind of the question, and I think that's what some employers are questioning, right? They're doubting that
are they as productive? That's the question. And in my mind, that's going to come down to an individual basis. I would not be as productive working from home. I am like a dog that sees a squirrel. I get sidetracked too easy. YouTube video, Facebook. Oh, my kids, right? Ryan, on the other hand, he doesn't have the Kragen ADHD.
I don't.
The rest of us have. He's productive working from home. I wouldn't be. So I think it just comes down to the individual, would be my take on it. Some people excel in that environment. Some would be worthless and would take every inch that they could.
To complicate that a little bit. So this is not an ad for Plex, right? But I happen to use Plex on my file server, right, for all of my media, and I get their, because I'm a lifetime member or whatever, I get their newsletter periodically, and they're always hiring, right? Plex is always hiring. They've always got like 10 or 15 jobs open, and not that I'm looking to move to work for Plex or anything, but a couple of times I've looked like, are they hiring somebody who does statistics? Because I do that. All of their jobs are remote. They do have a couple of offices, so occasionally they'll bring people into some offices, but all of their jobs are remote, and they've got people all around the world. And I think what's going on, so to Josh's point, only some people can do this effectively, right? Not everybody can work from home and be effective, but certain companies have realized that they can actually get talent from around the world, or even have people who live in the US or from the US who are like, you know what, I want to live in Ireland for the next year, and because my job is remote, I can go live in Ireland for a year. So they're taking the money that they would spend on the building and they're putting that towards other benefits. So if you look at the benefits that Plex offers, they've got like paid maternity, paid paternity, they've got health days, they've got all these other benefits that basically are a wash when it comes to their expenses, because they don't have to pay for the overhead of a building and offices. So they can actually offer better benefits than they would otherwise. And some people really like the work from home idea, because then you can travel, you can do other things. So I think for some companies that can make it work, it will work. Other companies, I mean, there are some jobs that you really kind of need not that you have to do it there, but you're far more efficient. One of them was one of the big banks on Wall Street, that they were like, certain employees can do like a 3-day work week in person and then 2 at home. But those 3 days in person, one, you're having meetings, but you're also meeting personally with clients. Mm-hmm. And if you have to do that, you can't do that exclusively on Zoom and have it be effective. Sometimes there are things that you just have to do in person. And right. I think companies are realizing that. So I think it's going to be mixed. I don't think it's going to be all the way one or the other. Some companies will make this work. Some companies will have some employees who will make this work. But I don't think it's going to be everybody stays home or everybody goes back to the office. It's going to be mixed.
There's an expanding industry for this kind of online work. I heard an ad for this new company. It's almost like Fiverr, but it's in a technological space. So if you need a designer, an engineer that is good at this, you can go hire a lead engineer for this project from this online company, and he does it all online. And then when that project's done, your contract with him is done, and it's all online. So there's going to be a new online space for this kind of job, which is really fascinating to me.
Sort of the gig economy on a bigger, longer term scale.
Yeah.
So you guys do you think work from home is not going away then?
No. Okay. Absolutely. I think we've shifted more in that direction because of COVID. It might come back a little bit, but I think it just makes sense. Why?
So Elon Musk said the people are pretending to work at home, and that's what he said, right?
There's some of that.
There's a lot of it. In my opinion, I think he's 100% correct. I don't think people are as productive at home, and people are doing all sorts of crap at home. So I'm at my ex-sister-in-law's house. She's like, hey, can you come over and help me with this door and install this door? I was like, yeah, sure. So I come over this morning and I'm like working on it. She's there, we're drilling, putting in shims, all this stuff. And then she's like, oh, and she like walks away for a little bit. She comes like, oh yeah, they had something with payroll, blah, 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 that I had to fix. I'm like, oh, you're working right now? I'm like, all right.
I have a couple of friends that they're like, hey, you want to play a couple rounds of Apex Legends? My boss left for a bit. Like they're on the clock getting paid and play some Apex. Another example, before COVID, my buddy Jeff, he's a pipe fitter welder. He was working at a plant in Arizona where they're bringing back superconductor jobs. They've been building plants around here. So he went down to that plant in Arizona to do some pipe fitting, and they have these huge machines like the size of a room that just spit out semiconductors and stuff. And guess who runs them? The one that he was working on, he had one machine that he was supposed to work on. Some dude in Ireland sits at home in front of his computer and monitors this machine. That's his job. Yeah. So the dude running the machines in freaking Ireland. There's all sorts of jobs out there now where they don't even want you in the plant.
Here's the thing that I think is really interesting that I think is going to be a little crazy. So California, right? Much higher salary requirements, especially in the tech industry, right? There, I mean, there are engineers making $500,000 a year. And that's just sort of par for the course there because of the nature.
Cost of living.
Yeah, but you've got them now working remote, and there's this big battle, right, with almost all the tech companies, Apple, Google. They're all trying to get them back, and Facebook just had a meeting basically today that's saying, hey, we're going to get a lot more competitive, and he's basically saying we're going to do layoffs, and if you're not working hard, we're going to lay you off, right? He's like, and
that's fine.
But I think, but here's the interesting thing is, you got these people that are remote. So some of them I've heard stories about, like somebody was in, San Antonio and then, or not San Jose, and they've now moved off somewhere, right? They're working remote. So they're in the middle of nowhere. Well, I think this is going to bite these Californians in the butt because it's not going to take long before these tech companies, and they're probably already starting to do this, where they're going to start to reach out more and more and more into more rural areas because they can work remotely, which just means they can get more competitive with salaries. They can hire a lot more people, right? Bigger pool, a lot more supply. So salaries are going to go down for these Californians, and they're going to be like, right? It's going to be interesting to see how this, and not even that, internationally, like you said, Josh, in Ireland and stuff like that, where salaries are probably a fraction of ours. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see how this affects the average Joe. Anyway, so okay, yeah, you're probably right. It probably will survive in some form or another. Mm-hmm. But I do think, because right now I think employees have been pushing back pretty hard, and they think their argument's going to weaken. They're like, okay, if you want me to come in, I'll come in. Don't fire me.
I think in some spaces it will. So another example, my brother-in-law, Levison, he got a job working for Ubiquity, a big networking company. Mm-hmm. And they straight up told him when he was hired, like, we don't, your salary, we don't have set hours. We have this kind of stuff we want you to do. Come in, don't come in, whatever. You're your own boss. Some people can handle that, some can't. Yep. So he's gone in to their office where they're just rows of computers, and he's literally, him and his manager are the only people there. Yeah. There's like 500 empty desks. So there will be some spaces where that's going to be the norm, I think. Yeah. And I think it was going that way even before COVID. I had a couple friends that worked home 3 days a week, and then would go in once or twice a week. And they were pretending to work a lot of the time, but as long as they got the job done.
I think that's the key, right? If you're hourly, it's hard to monitor somebody's behavior if they're at home, right? Yeah. But if you're salaried and you just have projects that you have to finish, as long as you're finishing them, right? So as long as you're meeting the production, whatever the production outcome measure is, then it doesn't really matter what time you work or when you work, right? As long as you're meeting those goals. So
if it's measurable,
right? If it's measurable.
There's a lot of things that you can't measure that I think are getting lost through the
Well, a couple of my friends work on base, so they're government employees. Government doesn't care; they don't fire anybody. Oh, we got more tax dollars.
Josh Tarian just showed up again. Josh Tarian,
you can come to work drunk. We don't care. It's true.
Yeah, I heard some stories. My brother worked on base as a contractor, and how like some of the workers there, one of them like took a crap like in one of the like work sites and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
What?
He got fired.
Yeah, right. So yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's all the questions that we've got tonight. So that was fun. Rapid fire. Thought we'd just go through a few just kind of top of mind current events to see what you guys think about stuff from both sides of the aisle. Any thoughts? Closing.
I wanted to talk about the new national landmark, Brandon Falls, sorry. But you guys weren't interested. I thought that would be an interesting one.
Yeah. That one's so interesting. And I wanted to talk about the 10-year-old girl in Ohio who had to go to Indiana to get an abortion. But we didn't talk about that either, Josh. So
wow. You want to end it on that kind of downer? Mine was funny.
Yeah, we'll go with funny.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Josh, we may not always agree when it comes to politics, even though we're trying, but there is one thing we agree on. There is only one way to clean up after going to the bathroom, and that's with a Lux bidet.
I've been a proud owner of a Lux bidet for years. I have literally owned a Lux Neo 320 since 2013. That's the warm water model. Talk about happy, fun, poopy time. When I leave the bathroom, I know I'm clean and ready to talk politics in a civilized manner.
Exactly. Using a toilet without a bidet is about as uncivilized as it gets. Civil conversations demand civil hygiene practices.
And that is why our listeners should get themselves a Lux bidet.
And just to be clear, Lux is not supporting one side or the other in this podcast. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. The music is by Ben Sound. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not those of their employers. For more information or more episodes, you can find us at findingcommonbattlegrounds.com.